That ping by the red buff of the Vulcan's own red buff is where COG placed a ward yesterday, and that's the ward that actually got COG 2 kills. Vulcan's not gonna, or Cloud9's not gonna fall for that, even though there is a chance they'll get caught out because there's 2 solo laners that have started with wards on Vulcan, which makes it increasingly difficult for Cloud9 to predict the ward positioning because they have to track more than just the support.
So here we are into game 1. We can see Cloud9 making fast moves here. Rivington the Third and Jap bringing you live on the Rift. Lee Sin trying to do some damage to Smithy, giving a bit of harass. So they know where Cloud9 is. They're just going to get what they want out of this invade. So really the first different level 1 we've seen here coming out of the 3.8 patch. I guess actually towards the end of the day, people were they were doing this as well.
Yeah,
rather.
the first 2 games we saw fights. The next 2 games we saw just a lot of buff warding. And I'm actually surprised we haven't seen more buff trading. I thought there was going to be a lot of teams invading each other's reds and just kind of giving it away. That's what Cloud9 thought they were doing yesterday against COG, and that's how they got burned for it, and I think that's what they're trying to go for again here, as they see that Vulcan is a bit spread out, and they can brute force their way into the jungle.
They just have such a good level 1, and they know it. Like we said, Cloud9 is just one of those teams that knows they can abuse certain points of power, and that's what they do. Especially with this level 1, they actually walked through everywhere they wanted to put a ward. It wasn't dangerous at all.
And Thresh level 1 is one of the most potent champions in the game. The 1100 range on his death sentence hook is almost makes it so the other team can't be safe no matter where they stand, which is why Vulcan was just giving Cloud9 whatever position they wanted. And that's how Cloud9 got 4 wards into Vulcan's jungle.
And now you have to consider how this happens. We've seen Meteos lose both of his buffs. Now they're going to have 100% vision on the jungler the entire time, and now he has both of his buffs. So they have so much information to act on for the first 3 minutes of this game.
Yeah, this means that they can push up whatever lane they want, since there's going to be nowhere Xmithy goes in the jungle that Cloud9 will not have track of. So even though, like, it may seem like a couple wasted wards if you read the blue buff and the red buff, it's like, well, if you know he started red, then he's probably going blue next, but not for Lee Sin, and not in the 3.8 jungle with the potential buff steals. Because if Xmithy, as you see now, doesn't get seen by the blue buff ward, Meteos knows that they're going to be coming in for an invade on him. I want to see how he deals with this.
You may have seen the image coming down of that. Yeah, the ward going over, actually, to see Janna, or after they actually hit the lizard, rather. So they're going to be able to steal that away. Meteos knew it was going to happen. He kind of just walks away from it too.
Yeah, that's actually unfortunate to them because Cloud9 put their support top lane, which meant Bloodwater very easily roamed into the jungle and helped Xmithy get that red buff. That was just two people mid lane, gives you way better access to buff steals, and I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of that as people get used to this patch.
They got him super strong. It was actually, Balls was almost level 2 by the time Zuna, he was helping with red, got to the bottom lane. So it was Bloodwater and Zuna giving Smithy a really healthy red so they could make that easy.
Really surprising play considering Lee Sin isn't necessarily the best scaler, but he is an incredibly strong early game ganker, and they're going to try to punish Cloud9 for playing aggressive early in lanes as Mankai goes for a stun.
Let's see what High is taking. He does have that rush. He's able to get away. Will they be able to land the Q? Smithy just out of range. A good dodge from High. Keeps himself in safety.
Really good plan of escape there for High. Even though he was pushed up in the lane, he was favoring the left side of the river because he recognized that Xmithy was going to be coming in from the red side jungle since that's what was stolen. And in doing the support top, Cloud9 makes it work for themselves, knowing that Janna was nowhere near and they'd be able to take that top lane.
So far they've put themselves up on the game, being reactionary to the steals of Vulcan. We'll see if Balls can hold himself in the bottom lane here. And he looks like 3v1's not going to be too much trouble. He's got a lot better wave clear than nobody being in the lane. Oh no, they're going to the Psycho Sid. The repel's there, but he's got nothing to go to but he goes back towards the base, or away from the base rather. You may actually be able to get out of this.
Yeah, I think he's escaped. It's a tricky little spider. Didn't even have to burn
minion
flash.
Wave just kept pushing up.
And now Balls is getting pushed off the bottom turret as well, so this isn't actually a good thing for Vulcan because they might be losing their second tier turret while taking a 1.
Taking a little bit more poke damage, so this is exactly what Vulcan needed to do. They stayed strong here. There's only going to be one more wave, and he's got to be pretty careful because they just may decide to go the dive with a second tier turret before 5 minutes going down. We got some super weak from the spring split going on.
Yeah, this is now a summer split record for fastest second tier turret taken down. 4 minutes, 48 seconds because there was no response from Vulcan. Not a single thing was done to help Psycho sit in that lane, and all of Meteos' attention was put in that top lane. Once Meteos lost his red buff, much like he did against Dignitas in week 1 when he lost both of his buffs, he was saying, you took my buffs? I'm going to go to a lane. What now? And it worked out for Cloud9.
I was just going to say that. What were they going to do with the next 3 minutes of knowing exactly where the jungler is? Take my buff, we'll take 2 turrets. And I think the gold is going to be in their favor on that one. So with those 2 turrets, so much pressure towards the top lane now that how this is going to focus or affect their focus on Dragon and somebody split pushing that top lane. They can't lose an inhibitor turret before 10.
That top lane is so long now for Psycho Sid. Like, look where he is. Psycho Sid could not be farther away from the Dragon. And Zuna is already incredibly low. If Cloud9 wanted to make a play for Dragon, they might be able to.
No, Xmithy going in on elimination. They may be able to get a kill here. That's exactly what they need. Who do they trade it with, though? It does go to high. That's going to work out for them. Sneaky might have wanted that pretty good, but it all works out in the end as they go 1 for 1.
And that is just jungle for support. So in terms of actual lane pressure here, I'd say Cloud9 has a little bit more of a power play. Knowing that Zuna got pushed out by balls in the bottom lane as well means this relentless turret pushing is going to continue here for Cloud9.
Yeah, they are putting that power play to the test right now in front of Vulcun. ManCloud trying to put the damage back that he can. Bloodwater there to assist him, and they're actually being quite aggressive. They are risking HP to save this turret because they know they're losing too much too fast.
And I wonder how much Bloodwater is going to have to move around the map this game. I think Jan is going to be an increasingly popular pick against Cloud9 throughout this year because not only does Janna have heavy disengage for Cloud9's team fights, she has some of the best mobility due to her passive move speed and wave clear just based off rank 1 Tornado, helping keep the lanes shoved back and getting minions off of his team's turrets.
So we'll see where everybody is putting the wards down now. We do have some coming in mid. It's still Cloud9 with some deep, not deep in the jungle, but just placed towards the Wraith camp as well to get that default vision on. And Cloud9 says, we want this mid turret. It's going to be the pressure and probably the dragon soon for them with what they've been doing.
And this is just the way I think we could expect this game to play out. Cloud9 is doing as much pressuring as possible right now, keeping the lane shoved, whereas Vulcun is mainly, aside from the couple ganks that Xmithy's been doing around, the rest of the team is just mainly trying to farm up. Zuna has been left alone by Bloodwater as Bloodwater runs around and tries to help out lanes, and Zuna's trying to freeze a lane and farm up, whereas like his analog on the other side, Sneaky, has been running around trying to kill people, which is what we expected.
And really, with the aggression that Cloud9 shows, and we say they're aggressive, they really play this so calm. They wait for the first few punches to be thrown, see what Vulcun really has to show, and then they say, okay, then we're just going to do this.
Yeah, it's like a counterattack.
Yeah.
Instead of just going for a play, which kind of gets them in trouble, like it did against COG, where they just said, all right, we're going straight into the red buff, we're going to trade, you do this to us. It's now Cloud9 saying, we're ready for whatever you throw at us. As soon as they see where Vulcun goes, Cloud9 does something for themselves.
That was a good chunk of damage coming out of a Q there. He's trying to go in again for another shuriken. A Q and a W will lock him down. A W is not in range. He flashes off of it. Definitely would have been Psycho Sid going down, but every lane, it doesn't even have to be a Zed. It doesn't have to be those playmakers. They're doing it alone on Rumble and Kennen right now. Meteos getting the Lantern out on the Thresh Express, and he is going to be safe.
And I'm trying to figure out what happened there with Mandatory Cloud's ultimate. I thought he was going to be coming to the... I'll find out later what he did there, but that was a very curious ult by ManCloud because that is an incredibly important cooldown based off the way Cloud9 is playing their lanes.
Smithy, yeah, he did get that over. I actually thought he got that for a second. Would not have been good, but now they finally focus on Dragon. So this is Cloud9 not really taking a huge advantage for Dragon. It's still Psycho Sid now coming in with full health. That lane is long, but he was moving before this happened. So Vulcun making moves.
Yeah, and the longer Vulcun holds this here, the closer Zuna gets to the fight. So this is potentially dangerous for Cloud9.
Zuna coming in, he does not have much damage yet. Oh, slicing Maelstrom from the backside, he kicks him right into the team! High is gonna go down. Didn't get enough damage there. There was too much focus. They continue. A great resonating strike. He goes in for the kill with the Tempest, and it looks like they can continue this one. ManCloud finding a kill there, and the window worked in their favor, oddly.
Yeah, Lemon Nation actually hooked in to die at the end of that fight because he thought he was going to be able to stop Xmithy. And that was Cloud9 taking a lot of damage at the Dragon because they knew they had the man advantage, but they took even more poke at the Dragon and damage, which allowed Vulcun to just close down in on them. So the 975 gold the Dragon versus about 1,400 gold worth of kills that Vulcun gets means Vulcun won that trade.
It was a little confusing to me why Cloud9 waited so long to go for the Dragon. Vulcun was healed up. Psycho Sid was back to lane. They had a, like you said, the Twisted Fate ultimate had just gone down. Maybe would have pushed mid and then gone for Dragon. But nonetheless, the play is over. Vulcun makes a big play there, bringing themselves within 200 gold here. 4 kills coming off, not off of that, but now 4-1 as we reach 10 minutes.
And 2 of those kills going to ManCloud could be really important too. He just got those couple Thorns rings right now, but if ManCloud gets going a little bit, he's going to be able to shut down a lot of the way Cloud9 roams around. But they really need to be able to hold off this turret. Cloud9 is relentless.
They get definitive when something like that happens. They're like, no, let's clean that up. Make sure we get something back on it.
And it's already 3 turrets to 1. This is pretty much the turret score in all of Cloud9's games, even the one they lost against CLG. So Vulcun trying to survive this onslaught right now, and they're doing quite a good job of it since they're only down 900 gold, despite being down 2 turrets and a dragon.
Right, they're doing well. Cloud9 has these chess pieces that they've already moved into position, right? Elise is up top. That mid turret wasn't really stressful for them to take down. It was something they almost had prepped if the dragon went awry. So they're really setting themselves up for situations to happen, but they can't have any more fights like that because Vulcun will take advantage of every one of those.
Yeah, and since Cloud9 should also be stronger in a lot of these early fights, the Raven very early on, just Thresh, I believe, still isn't even level 6 for Lemon Nation. The Cannon Ultimate hit like 4 people. Like, these are very strong. Like, mid-game dragon fights for a Rumble Cannon team are what they live for.
Yeah.
So when that didn't work out for Cloud9, it becomes a very dangerous game for them.
Smithy just keeping this mid-wave push. They're looking to keep the pressure, just at least a line of scrimmage up and down river that Cloud9 is not crossing. You see them push this river. They have high and balls in that bottom lane. Power in numbers, that rule of thumb. If you cross the river, don't do it alone. They could go right onto Zuna. Whoa! He thought he was safe for a second.
Oh, but it looks like ManCloud, that's the farm kicking in. He's going to pick up a double off that.
Well, he just got the ultimate up. That window being forgot about, chat. That is going to be in their favor there for his 2.
Exactly, like Zuna is just a little puppy dog that was used as bait right there for Mandatory Cloud.
It's only 12 minutes.
It's exactly. It's only 12 minutes. There's no way Zuna's a threat yet. They're trying to shut down his farm because they know that if Sneaky can't outpace Zuna, then Zuna's going to outpace him like crazy late. But that's why it was so important that ManCloud got those early kills. Coming in there with a needlessly large rod gave it a substantially larger amount of spike and a very easy double kill pickup there off of Cloud9's turret dive.
I really don't know how many times, whether it was Mandatory Cloud focused by 7 people in the beginning of the game and he was down 100 CS, or it just happens where he picks himself up a double kill and then another double kill, and he just starts to come back in the game and super carry, and he really is starting to do that now. 12 minutes in, it's the first TF foul, kind of made us think. The second TF foul, picking him up a kill. Looks like Lemon Nation finds another death sentence for himself. Ball's taking some damage here as he tries to pick up that Smithy on the way out.
And X-Smithy's the one trying to run around making plays, and it's actually not costing him that much. He's only 21 minion kills down onto Meteos. Vulcun just pulled ahead in the farm there because he was able to punish Lemon Nation again. This has not been a good game for Thresh, as the roam from Bloodwater's Janna has been much more effective than the straight-up pushing that Lemon Nation has tried to accomplish.
Both teams definitely have their advantages right now. That top turret being down, a pretty big one for Cloud9, but they don't seem to be pressuring it whatsoever. Even with Dragon objective free right now and off the map, they're not putting too much focus towards that top side.
Not at all, and it's because it's such an incredibly long lane versus just this asymmetrical amount of turret destruction that Cloud9's put against themselves. The closer Vulcun gets to Dragon, the more turret support they have. And since Cloud9 is trying to get the Dragon control, since that's the big reason they lost the game against COG, Cloud9 says we need to be able to control Dragons when we have pressure. They don't care about this top lane, and it's actually resulted in letting Psycho Sid get a lot of alone time up there, and that's why he's the full 18 minion kills ahead of Balls.
So it's almost like pushing yourself into a situation you can't approach yet.
Exactly. Since they killed 2 turrets that early in the game, that's when Cloud9 has to run around to the rest of the map. And if they don't make that 1,500 early gold count, it's not going to matter, because the difference in map pressure that early in the game from having 1 turret down in the same lane to 2 is almost nothing, since everything else is still alive and the other objectives haven't changed.
All right, well, what they really want is coming up in 1 minute here. Not too much coverage on any wards, is they are starting to just hover top. They see Sneaky, they want to take him down. You see the jungler heading mid. Where are you, Meteos? Meteos in the bottom lane, so he's ready for this to come up, is the team.
And I'm a little surprised by ManCloud's Zhonya's Hourglass Rush. A lot of times you'll see that as a Twisted Fate if he's against like a Kha'Zix or a Zed.
Right.
Because he can prevent himself from that assassination, but since Cloud9 is typically a magic damage team, he's doing this Zhonya strictly for the TF initiation.
TV Kid rocked it yesterday.
Teleport right next to someone, pop that
scary.
Zhonya's, and just go for it. And it is needed for Cloud9 since they don't have hard initiation, but it's interesting that he didn't go for more damage right off the bat since it's still so early.
And really, such a close game if you haven't forgotten already. It's only a few hundred gold, 800 gold to be exact. Cloud Taking a shot there high on the Q.
And this is actually Vulcun trying to split push the lanes while Cloud9 takes the Dragon. I don't know if this is worth it for them because there's multiples pushing down mid, and Psycho Sid is creating some more action in that top lane. There's the ults going on.
Oh, wow. High trying to jump out of the Xmith. Ultimate, the Dragon Rage not going to hit. A nice Rumble ultimate keeps them from initiating the fight again. Does he go down? No, he gets out with a sliver of health. Can he hit the harpoon? He gets locked up. Will the teleport come in with the shield down in no time? No, the flame spitter is too much. He gets burned down. So does Bloodwater, and they're going to look for more off of this.
That's a big break for Cloud9 right now. You have to give credit to High for holding that mid turret and turning it around. Cloud9 killed that Dragon so fast, ran mid to support, and then cleaned up Vulcun before they could run away. Psycho Sid also didn't even get the top turret, so this is such a power play for Cloud9.
It's always a game of chess for Cloud in these fights. High played that so well, flashing before Lee Sin even got to the insect kick play to put him back into the fight, and then he held himself with 3 in mid. But they were able to come back on that. So 16 minutes in, they finally pick up one of the gold leads we're finally seeing. 3,000 gold, 2,000 gold is the time, it ticks up for Vulcun there at 24,000 to 22. So 7-4 in the kills, kind of going back and forth there. TF still lives, so ManCloud, no, his bounty actually did get crushed within the last fight, so he's back around there. But this is going to be big. None of the kills onto Sneaky yet. Mandatory Cloud, however, with that Zhonya's this early, still going to be able to counter that ManCloud.
He's still going to be a force, even though he wasn't killed here. And Vulcan's really trying to get some of the turrets back since the gold is still close, and they know that Cloud9 had to go deal with other things after making that big play. Vulcun might be trying to press real hard here. Oh my.
Smithy wanted it so bad from that fight to this fight and just absolutely dropped. Meteos goes down and they look to take the turret.
I don't know if they're going to be able to get this turret, but they did get that kick kill onto Meteos once again, and another kill went into the hands of ManCloud. So this is still a very close game, and we know how threatening Zuna's going to be. I don't know if, like, Zuna's not probably as threatening as what a Tristana would be against this particular Cloud9 composition, because if Kennen gets onto Zuna, Zuna doesn't have a way of avoiding it, whereas Tristana has two. Tristana would be able to knock Kennen back or jump away, and that's one of the reasons that Kennen couldn't shut down Doublelift at all in Cloud9's loss yesterday. So probably a slightly different situation here for Cloud9, where they're not against as big of a ticking time bomb as far as Vulcan's team composition goes, but Vulcan is still actually feeling pretty comfortable about having a 2-turret disadvantage, being 0 for 2 in Dragons, and still only being down. Obviously, they don't know the gold, but they know they're not down by much.
Once you know how Cloud9 fights, and that's pretty much to go in aggressive, I'm seeing where Zed would be such a huge pick still for this team in general, right? Kennen he needs flash. Unless he just does a walk-up E and initiate with Slicing Maelstrom. When you have Zed, you get that on your E cooldown, or your cooldown rather, not E, all the time for your Shadow. So you can initiate on that back line and get to it. They're blocking that out. Lee Sin could not have done that jump if they had Zed on the team right there.
And also, Zed is one of the few things that can initiate through a Janna ultimate, because when he ults, when he puts his death mark on someone, he gets a Shadow clone right next to his target, so even if he gets knocked back, he can immediately jump back to that clone that the ultimate creates and finish off his combo. So even from the get-go, it means that the Janna pick is just super potent against Cloud9, especially when Cloud9 can't have Zed.
And now we're 18 minutes into this one. These guys have been switching things up on us. We haven't really taken a look at the inventories just yet, as both teams set up here in mid for a possible tango. We do see the Golem Spirit coming out onto Meteos. Very common knowledge if you're a Nasus, you want to run around the team fight with some tenacity. But the Aegis kind of being rushed right away here for Xmithie to be that utility in the late game for his team, knowing he's just going to be jumping around, giving auras.
And all three of the Lee Sin jungles that we saw yesterday actually rushed the spirit of the Golem Spirit that Meteos has right now. But Xmithie went for the Aegis, and I actually like that, since Xmithie's job in these fights isn't to kill people by himself. He is jumping in, he is kicking someone backwards, and then he is getting back to his team for the auras. So Xmithie can accomplish that with or without the Spirit of the Ancient Golem. I like the Aegis because it just gives them more versatility against the double AP comp that Cloud9 has. I believe that no magic that Xmithie has is going to turn that into a runic bulwark, probably even before Xmithie finishes his upgraded boots.
And looking around it still, the Zhonya's coming in for both of the AP mids. That's high on Kennen. Mandatory Cloud on Twisted Fate. He has gotten a kill since his 5-1-2, so he's up to just 6 with that one more. There it is again, but he gets locked down this time. High throws down the ultimate immediately. Zuna has all eyes focused on High. Takes him out immediately. There's actually Psycho Sid to come up with a kill. The equalizer's going to go down, but I don't think they're going to be able to really reinitiate on this.
And that's because all of Cloud9's ults were used before they were ready for that fight. xMithi didn't even get the kickback in the perfect direction, but he did create the action and allowed the rest of Vulcun to go up. Also, the magicness from that Aegis is the whole reason he didn't die to the AoE amidst all that action. Another nice kill for Vulcun.
So xMithi really just abusing the fact that he can get in and out and disrupt the fight with the chaos that Lee Sin brings to that engagement.
And it looks like there's even more importance coming down to this Dragon right now, because Cloud9 is running out of things to take advantages from since they've killed those four turrets so early and the game is still quite close. Really, Cloud9 is trying to get Dragon control and the area around Dragon killed down so they can accumulate these things, because there's only so many of them on the map.
And it's almost like it's fuel. The catalyst for Cloud9 to really force themselves into doing something is losing somebody in a fight. Because right after something happens, again, they take a turret, they flip that switch on. Right after they lost, it looked like they were chasing down mid like rabid dogs, but then they're like, oh wait, let's just grab the turret. It's got to be activated before they lose something.
Yeah, in a little bit of, in some of the ways, they need to be able to be a step ahead of Vulcun. Right. Which, maybe what's happening right now, I'm not sure why Vulcun had xMithi and Zuna up in that top lane, because that just means this is an uncontestable Dragon that Cloud9 desperately wanted and needed.
Good money, good gold. 31.6 or 31.5 to 30,000 gold. So it's only gold lead is back and forth. Now closing that deficit for Vulcun, getting very, very small. But they are still down in turrets, which means their global presence needs to be picked up here. And Zuna's going to do a little bit to help that out.
Zuna still just has the Blade of the Rune King. If we look, he's still only at a 6,100 gold mark right now on AD carry. And honestly, at Kog'Maw, probably needs close to 12,000 gold before he really starts ramping up. So Zuna's got a long ways to go. That means 35 minutes, maybe 40 minutes is the point where Zuna wants to go in. And Cloud9 doesn't play generally that slowly. If Cloud9's going to be making some action, it's going to be before that 40-minute mark. So we'll check back with us in 20 minutes to see if this game's still going on. And if it is, Zuna's going to be scared.
Now, this is a pretty neat buy by Sneaky here. Neat or just, you know, comfortable for him that he goes. Draven's more of that single target AD carry, and he's buying the Shiv up to really maybe go back on the split push that they're finding right now from Vulcun.
I think it's also just part of their play style to be able to keep the lane shoved as much as possible.
Okay.
I think Sneaky's going to be someone who builds static shiv more than other AD carries just because of that.
All right. So chasing on the Void Ooze. Wow, Meteos just tiptoeing right around that one. Wasn't able to engage the fight. And xMithi again. And look at this. He's already opened in the book. He's wrote in the first page. He's saying, I'm going to dive in. Second page says, I'm going to ward and then kick somebody. And it's telegraphed every time, but he makes it work. And so that's what meant you know you're good Lee Sin.
And that's why they pick it so early for xMithi off.
Yeah.
Some teams ban it against Vulcun as well, just because of the comfort that xMithi has on that champion. And I'm actually surprised at how much alone time Psycho Sid's been getting in this game.
That's like the third time we mentioned it, so they're still ignoring him. He's gonna be big.
171 minion kills, just kind of hoping someone wanders. Don't know who's gonna wander into that tri-bush because there's minions at the turret, so Sneaky's gonna be over there taking them, but I wonder if Psycho Sid's gonna be able to start creating some action on his own, since he's had so much free time over there, as well as being able to pick up some garbage kills in fights.
I remember, I think it was in the tournament at the end of the season when Psycho Sid was going crazy on Elise, and that was the ban for him.
Oh, look out!
Oh, xMithi! That's the first time he's had to use his ult in defense! They go right onto Zuna! That's the backline they needed! Right when the flash is up for high, he can get into the fight, get the execution, the initiation they need.
And this is the danger that Vulcan's been running for a while. When they have Psycho Sid and ManCloud off on side lanes, Zuna and xMithi should not have been safe in the mid lane, especially without the Janna for protection. Now, all the ultimates of Cloud9 have been burned, and there's still 3 members of Vulcun coming in, particularly these strong solo lanes. This could very well be a Baron fight.
Cloud, they're going to be taking a lot of damage in here. Lemon Nations is quite low. They're going to get a kill out of this. Psycho Sid takes down Lemon Nation. That's going to be xMithi still down in the fight, though. A good ult from Bloodwater means they're taking damage from Baron and not doing it, but the Baron goes down, slain by Sneaky, and it looks like they're going to be able to get this kill up here. Finalizing that one onto ManCloud. A good try by Vulcun there.
That was an incredibly calm Baron by Cloud9, considering how scary that situation looked. But they recognized that there were no big ultimates that could clear their whole team from Elise and Twisted Fate. They're both very single target in their fighting. They knew that as long as Meteo stayed alive, he would smite it and nothing could steal. And they knew that Bloodwater wasn't really a threat. So instead of Cloud9 trying to peel off and engage, allowing Bloodwater's Monsoon Janna ultimate to bash them away, they just stuck in the Baron pit, got the Baron, and killed Vulcun when they came in to harass them. That was really well done.
So now Vulcun has a bit of thinking to do before their next engagement. They're trying to pick up everything in their jungle while they know it's a bit safe to run around here. Hai picking up his blue as well before they re-engage. We'll have to see what Bloodwater does for this wardage right now. We'll see Lee Sin pushing bottom. Map's objective free, so it's probably going to be everybody cleaning up as much as they can before they're forced into that next fight.
And right now, Cloud9's thinking about how they can find their next dive. They have the Baron. They know they don't want this game to go to 40 minutes. So they have this 4-minute timer Baron to go and make something happen. They're cruising through the jungle. They already see Xmithy, who wants to make an escape, but they're just going for as much damage and pressure they can get.
The death sentence missed, so he's going to be able to walk out of this one. The TF ulti a little bit behind Meteos. Oh, I thought he was going to get locked up walking through the minion lockup. They are able to get out of this one, and really Cloud9 this far into the game, obviously they're going to build items for fighting, but they're building items to stay in the fight. Rumble's first completed item becomes the Rylai's.
Yeah, he's very much going for the initiation. They have enough damage, especially when they bring Sneaky, and this turret right here is incredibly difficult to hold. Hai wants to jump into this fight from the back. That's why there's wards over the wall.
Ooh, big initiation down from that cooldown.
Dangerous August.
There's the Rumble ultimate. Equalizer going down the backside. The Rylai's not allowing him to get out. Good damage from Sneaky. And Rumble to capitalize on that kill. They're able to come up with a turret as well. And Cloud9 finding the momentum they were looking for all match.
And as we were saying, that turret is so difficult to hold, but Vulcun were actually the ones to start initiating that fight. Cloud9 doesn't even have to dive because they got those 2 kills outside of the turret. They're going to take an inhibitor off this one.
See this inhibitor going down around 27 minutes. So with a bit of a lull, Cloud9 definitely going to go back and figure out what happened during that time where Vulcun was able to grab a foothold, because now this 5,000 gold lead is definitely going to put Vulcun on the back foot. The Lich Bane being finished for Twisted Fate. We haven't really seen any of their ultimates for about 5 minutes being used offensively as Xmithy kicks Hai in the face here.
Yeah, and Hai's going to be able to run away. This is the point in the game where Cloud9 is feeling the most comfortable. When they have a lead, they close it so well. They're going to pick up this Dragon because they have the perfect timer on it. They still actually have a minute left on this Baron, so I wouldn't be too surprised if they try to get maybe another inhibitor off this play after taking up the Dragon. Going to be interesting, though, because they are sitting on about 4,000 gold across their team.
Cloud9 picking up another Dragon for themselves here, 28 minutes in. They all decide to back. Once again, Vulcun isn't set in that position. We're going to farm up until we're pressured into our next fight. And really, looking at it, yes, you do have a Zuna, you do have a Man-Cloud, and yeah, so they have good siege clear coming into the turret. So once it gets to the base, if they have their full team, that initiation, like you said, they kind of split up. Lee Sin went over the wall to, or I should say, Xmithy went over the wall to Hai, and then not having Xmithy there to help the initiation, they went all in on the turret. So,
and they killed Bloodwater real fast too, so the Janna wasn't able to do a sustained kite after the fight. Plus, Bloodwater's not really protecting anything yet because Zuna hasn't hit his items yet. He still hasn't finished his Infinity Edge on Kog'Maw. The main threat is Man-Cloud, but even Man-Cloud doesn't have too much ability power since he did rush that Zhonya's and he's more going for an initiation type Twisted Fate.
Right.
There's not the damage yet for Vulcun to repel the dive from Cloud9 coming in, who have all built very resilient items. Even Kennen, Giant's Belt. As you mentioned, the Rylai's on balls, as well as going for an Abyssal Scepter. That is a very strong and resilient dive line that Cloud9 has built, which is allowing them to maybe dive this turret if they go in for mid lane.
So being pushed this hard, is re-split pushing back an option, kind of the way CLG brings it in? Or
I don't
do you
think
have to
so
be
at
ahead
this
for
point.
that?
I think you have to be even for that.
Okay.
Or at least have the threat of making them dive you. Right now with an exposed inhibitor, there's no lanes that are going to be shoving on their own that Cloud9 has to go back for.
Right.
Cloud9 gets to sit in this mid turret as long as they want, trying to poke down, waiting for an initiation.
So this choke point sometimes being the bane of teams getting in and out of that stairway onto the base. Also, Voidu is very effective within that range. They have a good amount of crowd control to lock somebody up there and get a kill under the turret. And you can see Cloud9 knows that. They're waiting very ever so patiently for the turret. There's the Janna ulti, the Monsoon out. It was quite early, but he cannot get back in. A lot of ultimates wasted here by Cloud9 as they go for the inhibitor.
Yeah, but they didn't take any damage themselves. That was a strict retreat from Vulcun, and now they're doing almost a re-initiation trying to get in.
Oh, a few spells, skill shots being missed left and right, and it's really faltering the initiation of both teams. Cyclo Sid could be going down here. The shield's coming out big. Xmithy, a few bits of last damage as he limps away.
Nobody died on either side except that inhibitor going down, but that's still great for Cloud9. This is what we were talking about. Vulcun has the disengage, but they're not disengaging for anything yet. Everyone's just running away, and they're not able to deal damage while running away, which is why Cloud9 is pushing them around. 2 inhibitors down. 30 minutes is what Cloud9 wanted in this game.
Cloud9 making patient moves here like we've seen it from the Baron up until now. They feel very comfortable, and they're just saying, we need to fight, we need to do things, and it's something they've said. They're very sure about their actions, and you can see it in their team fights.
Can we dive? Can we dive, guys? I think they're going to dive top lane
Isn't
next.
that what they say, the thing that's always coming out of their mouth?
That is their
dive?
most spoken word whenever they're talking in their voice comms.
Can we dive?
And you can see it even just in their items. High with that Zhonya's. He's really trying to actually bait Mandatory Cloud's gold cards with the Zhonya's, since that's like half of his burst damage in fights for TF. And High's just avoiding it with the Zhonya's. And he's free to do that because there's not enough auxiliary damage coming down on him when he dives in, since he's going in with Meteos, who actually flash withered at the start of that last fight.
The Flash Teemo Shroom initiation. So we see Zuna picking up some items. How much gold do you have? You have 50 gold, but he does have that Infinity Edge. He gets a bit of attack speed and that lifesteal from his Blade of the Ruined King. So hopefully he can ruin some of those opposing champions on Cloud9, because he's the one to really start chunking people out. There isn't a bunch of burst assassination that's going to cut through the HP bars of Cloud9 right now on that team.
Not at all, especially if Cloud9 is able to pick up this Baron. This is the like extra breaking point for Vulcun right now.
Oop.
If they give up this Baron, then I think they will have a lot of struggle going for this game. Xmithy's going to try a Miracle Steal, and Cloud9's going to try to not let that happen.
All they have to do is stand within that Q. If he gets it, he's get that percent damage into the smite, and it's quite hard to dodge. But look at that. I'll just make a human wall here.
They might try to kill him.
Shot coming in. They could get the pull on. They do. Oh, no, they do not.
Oh, my God.
There's the burn. The shield's going to wear off in time. Oh, the ultimate goes across. He gets out with 100 HP. The Baron, are you kidding me? Oh, Bloodwater steals Baron with a... I don't even know what to say.
With a rank 1 tornado. That thing does 90 damage. And it stole Baron as soon as Cloud9.
Look, he's no emotion on his face. Smile or something.
He just stole Baron with a rank 1 tornado. Are you kidding me?
All right, let's give some silence for the crazy epicness that just was. All right, thank you. All right, 32 minutes into this one. Vulcun pulling out everything they need to keep themselves in this game, but those inhibitors still quite naked.
That's really, really rare, Riv, that we see a Janna tornado.
I didn't know what to say.
From a support Janna.
Didn't even...
With 0 ability power, obviously. Like... So the only reason I said the Howling Gale does 90 damage, okay, it does 85 right now, because 60 plus 25 bonus damage, like it's just that
so
thing didn't
you
do
gave
damage.
him the advantage. You rounded up. Don't round up.
Don't round up, man.
Be true. Give the people the stats.
That's like stealing it with a Soraka banana, pretty much. I don't even know.
Soraka bananas are stale. +1 to Baron damage. It's a little easier.
Cloud9's got to react to that now, and
with face palms, pretty much.
Yeah. Considering, like I know,
throw everything.
I know we're thinking about yesterday because Cloud9 had a 5-0 Super Week, and the game against COG, even though COG was very confident about this, and there's actually going to be an article going up on All Esports later today about that game, but Cloud9 was very close in all of those games, and they just weren't able to close out because of Dragon Control or anything else.
All right, and while these guys are lolling about and looking for the Dragon, we actually have a quick replay of the Janna Baron steal.
And I don't know how Cloud9's going to react to this because they thought the threat was gone when Lee Sin went through. And after
Flame
this,
Spinner was even on.
After this, Meteos didn't even get his smite off. So this is one of those examples of the team having so much damage that they kind of burst through your smite, and then just because the tornado came in at the same time, Bloodwater got it. It's like one of those 1 in 500 chances that just happened to happen in an LCS game.
So you're saying you still have a chance?
There's always a chance of stealing Baron, Riv.
So we're going to see.
Once a Gangplank ultimate stole Baron from 5 of us doing it, because I saw the Baron at 605, and this is back when, I think it was 605, this is back when Razor did like a 600 damage proc, and I Razor procced it, and then had 5 health yet as a cannonball hit it. So I never got in smite range for it. My smite, I was waiting on the smite number.
That you knew of.
And as soon as the smite number was there, the Baron was gone.
Cloud9, they all just put themselves in a Ferrari and drove down to the bottom lane, speedy style. They used the Shurelya's for that one, thinking they could catch Vulcun off guard and grab the inhibitor before any reaction, but Vulcun is there. They were in the command ship, and they have landed to defend.
Yeah, and I don't know if Cloud9 wants to dive the team with Baron. Remember when we said check back with us at 40 minutes? Oh, the hook on Bloodwater is not going to be engaged on. Remember when we said check back with us at 40 minutes? We're 5 minutes away. and the inhibitors have respawned. So Vulcun might hold on. But they got about 5 minutes to hold on.
This
I
would
feel
be
like
ridiculous.
Yeah.
All right, so we can Zuna already considering that, hey, we need to start building some magic resistance, or at least for himself. He knows these fights are big. He knows he has the damage and the attack speed with those two and the passive on his Q. A little bit of Ryman. At 35 minutes, these guys just holding out on that Baron. It's not usual that you see a Baron used in defense, but they are doing it in grace.
Oftentimes, it doesn't happen that frequently. When a team is down inhibitors and still get a Baron, the game stops because the team with Baron needs to defend their base, and the team without Baron isn't strong enough to tower dive a team in their base because the other team has Baron. And this is just allowing Vulcun to slowly inch their way back in here.
So really, eyes on for Vulcun. Is it going to be Man Cloud, Zuna, their positioning? What are we looking for?
I still think that if Vulcun wants to initiate, it probably has to be Man Cloud and Xmithy coming in. Zuna has to sit in the back. Even a hard initiation from Vulcun is very dangerous. Almost a poke disengage strat is what I'd expect to see from Vulcun. And waiting out as long as possible. Like, we said check back at 40 minutes, but if Vulcun wants to win, I feel like see us in an hour, because when the game's 60 minutes is when they'll be strong enough to win. And
we saw Meteos taking a bit of damage from Zuna there, but you have to consider that was 3 standing still shots. You don't have time to stand still for 3 shots in a team fight, so this is going to be big. If he's still 75% health, they got to make every one of those shots count.
And the Baron is gone, so if Cloud9 was staying up here for a reason, it's because they want to go back in for these inhibitors or they want to dive. All summoner spells and all ultimates are up in this game right now. You know, aside from Xmithy's poor little smite. But that doesn't matter in a team fight. We'll see if Cloud9 tries something hard here.
Vulcun relying on the RNG of the Infinity Edge on Zuna right now. He doesn't have that from anything else. They are going to be moving in with this minion wave. Nope, they're just backing him off. They're making sure they can't. Oh, the flash, but they're kind of walking around each other. The Rylai's slow from the Equalizer goes down as well. And Mandatory Cloud takes a good chunk there. They're not going to be able to do anything off of that.
Whew, that almost got Vulcun into a little bit of trouble because I don't think they want to be initiating onto Cloud9 because as soon as they
just wore off. So
as soon as they run into Cloud9, that gives Kennen an easier way of getting to Zuna because there's less to run through since Vulcan's putting themselves into Cloud9. Nobody ended up dying there, but I think that kind of showed us that both teams are equally scared of each other, and we have ourselves a new game thanks to the Miracle Tornado.
Something, no idea. So coming in here, almost, you know, that could be completely planned if Cloud9 timed that Baron very, very well. They would have said, it's going to wear off in 5 seconds. Let's dive this. It's not going to matter. And, you know, it almost worked. I don't think they were thinking about it. Vulcun almost just bit into the runaround with that brigade of minions. So at 37 minutes, we do have that Baron back up in 1 minute. However, I don't think we're going to get the steal from Bloodwater, but I'm going to leave it up to chance.
Maybe he can get it again.
Maybe.
I mean, my Janna mechanics...
I bet you if you set it up for him to try, he'd miss.
Yeah, my Book of Janna knowledge was a little bit rusty. I want to correct this. Maxed charge rank 1 tornado
when it spins,
does 135 damage before resistances are factored in. So it did a little bit more than 80. It's like an auto attack is what he stole it with. But I just wanted to make sure that's technically correct so we realized how ridiculous that was.
Reddit thread debunked. No thread. Somebody just deleted it. So 10-9, still close there. 3,000 gold. It's only been fluctuating between that amount and the deficit of 1,000. So Vulcun doing a very nice job with that last Baron and keeping themselves farming up to keep themselves in the game. However, it is 8-3 in turrets, and with 11 turrets on the map, 3 is the amount that Vulcun has left.
Yeah, and not the funnest ones to have left, right?
No.
At least they have the Nexus turrets. At least they have double Nexus turrets holding themselves up. Mad Cloud actually used another TF ultimate just to kind of scare off because the Baron is once again a threat.
And the thing with these Nexus turrets as well, one, obviously it's the ones the farthest away from the Baron, but having a side one down means you have an easier direct line to Nexus turrets. You're not getting shot by both as you would be from the mid, so even the lines they have are a really big advantage here to the win.
Yeah, I wonder if Vulcun can defense this Baron, or if Cloud9 is just going to be so scared about doing it, they're going to just try to play this back and forth Baron boogie for like 5 or 10 minutes and hope they get an engage. Like, there's got to be a lot of doubt going in Cloud9 right now, just knowing that they were essentially a miracle away from closing out this game entirely, and now they have a much more difficult task in front of them now.
And the thing is yeah, the Bloodwater thing was awesome, but it doesn't for sure say they can steal another Baron. So this is still very, very scary for them. It's not like, yeah, we got it last time, you do it again. This is very murky water.
And it's gotten kind of to that point now. Zuna does do damage if we have an initiation fight because he's got his last Whisper. He's hit 12,000 gold on Kog'Maw, which is you know, the point of 3 big items and 1 defensive. Plus, ManCloud has put the offense into his initiation build as well. Now sitting on 607 ability power on Electricity Fate. So he hurts as well. This is becoming dangerous territory for Cloud9.
It's been a super different game in the builds. The Rabadowns were the last things built. It was the Rylai's rushes all came long for everyone here.
And exactly.
That's weird.
There's still the defensive itemization on Cloud9 as well.
Fight. These fights are lasting because the huge burst isn't there.
And Cloud9 trying to go in for a fight because they know Vulcan's spread out, but this is that disengage that Vulcan's trying to do. I don't think Vulcan wants to fight them straight heads up unless they get something really good beforehand.
Just a little bit of back and forth, showing each other what they have. You can see Zuna on the outside. He's really trying to use the range that he will have from living artillery and that void ooze to keep himself safe. If he's positioned in the jungle, he's so much more easier to catch. He's trying to keep himself in the open.
If Cloud9 can get a fight in the jungle here, it's probably beneficial to them.
Right.
ManCloud went to shove a side lane, and Vulcan is all around the outside of the Baron. Not everyone can get in, and if there's a fight here, they're unprotected. It's almost like a steal, but Cloud9 again tries to initiate instead of finishing.
There's the Void Ooze. They back out, so the Rumble ulti is down. They're going to be able to connect a few things on this. That looks like they just back out, but for them to be that unsure definitely has to give Vulcan some ground.
Their confidence is shaken here.
Yes.
One of the things is it's difficult to smite Race Elise in because he's a very potent smiter since he can spike it with his resonating strike, but it's just like a little bit of post-traumatic stress disorder for these guys right now because they are scared of that.
There's another tornado!
They can't, oh my god, the tornado's gonna kill everyone! They can't necessarily initiate that hard onto Vulcan, especially when Vulcan was like so spread out. Cloud9 had a clean shot at that Baron and would have won a fight afterwards if Vulcan tried to come in just based off how spread out they were, but they still didn't go for it.
And not really, the only vision they have is in mid here, so they're going for Dragon without having too much. They have that one up on the Baron, so they'll be all right for this. Slowing things down, Cloud9 is trying to find that footing. Usually, we said it before, their games don't go this long.
No.
So they're in that unfamiliar territory.
Not the games they win.
Not the ass.
Yeah, their games they win are very quick.
Good point.
I wonder, we obviously have the 5 games. Their longest game was the one against COG, which they lost, and this game is stretching dangerously long for them. This is when the Janna disengage becomes increasingly valuable. The protection of Zuna becomes even more important. Even also, like, Meteos being able to wither Zuna is also really huge since Zuna hasn't been able to build a Quicksilver Sash yet. That's like the one thing Cloud9 still has. Or catching Vulcan in some kind of split push war as Zuna's still trying to get more farm, but it's just not syncing up right now for Cloud9.
Still looking at these builds, everybody's got the Abyssal Scepters and whatnot. Very unselfish builds coming in, all the auras and whatnot, and then the Rylai's to continue the fight for everyone. They're synergizing so much just to kill each other.
Yeah, and Cloud9 wants to probably go in for a fight here. The good thing about fighting on this side of the map for Cloud9 is if they lose, they don't lose the game. But if they win the fight, they would be able to finish the Nexus turrets due to the positioning.
So a little bit of harass, not exactly the person you want to grab. They decide not to go with that one. See who stands in the front here. High, putting himself up top, trying to get some damage on. Their minion wave is a little ways behind them, but they should be able to get at least half on this inhibitor here.
And the minion wave doesn't really matter for the inhibitor turrets. They're just worried about ManCloud getting caught with something. There's not much initiation potential for Vulcan unless they go all in. Whether Lee Sin does a flash kick or whether ManCloud flashes in. That's a lot of damage for ManCloud to take, though.
Knocking out ManCloud. Zanya's right on the Rumble ulti. It's going to just shred him out. There's the slicing Maelstrom. High waited so long on that, actually. They're going to get Zuna locked down. This is going to be the base. Smithy gets locked up by the next Shuriken. They are going to take these inhibitors. It looks like they're going to take the Nexus here with 50 seconds on the death.
They got the biggest threats down from Vulcan, and ManCloud just didn't get damage off before Zanya's, which gave enough threat detraction from Vulcan's team comp that everyone just bull rushed Zuna. That was such a good fight by Cloud9. It took them 15 to 20 minutes to get it, but they got it and they're making it count.
This is going to be one hell of a save if they can do it. Smithy forced out the Flame Spitter. Actually, the turret could be taking down balls there, but it did not. They look like to get this one safety, and a nice Shuriken there coming in from High to pick up the last kill of the game to raise that KDA up. A very well played game by both teams, but Cloud9 finds the win.
That's one of the most stressful ways to win a game.